Dresden Files is about a grisly wizard with a mysterious background who does the occasional gig for the local PD. Right away, I'm getting Dante vibes from Devil May Cry, a surely annoyed contractor who is also quite serious about his work, immediately gives off the 90s hero with a chip on their shoulder, and the 90s influences don't stop there. My name's David, thanks for watching Storybound. Let's dive into this. Dresden Files, Book 1, Stormfront by Jim Butcher. This will have mild spoilers for the beginning of the chapters in the book. Just a warning, gonna keep them fairly mild. We'll dig into some more specific spoilers later on, and I'll give you a bit of a warning. Besides the fact James Marsden does the audiobook for this series, there's Joss Whedon type cliches all over this book. You can take that for what you will, but these books were written in the year 2000, so it definitely has that styling of the time littered throughout, for better or for worse. I am curious how the style evolves through the series to take some of the more modern takes on things, and there's a bit lacking here, like the portrayal of women, nudity, and kind of boobs every 100 pages or so. This does continue into book 2, by the way. I did watch a wonderful video on When Does the Dresden Files Get Good by Literature and Lo-Fi. Ben kind of lays out that some of this stuff does get better. He does address it in there. It is something that can be somewhat overlooked to an extent, as the series is apparently fantastic and continues to be so and improves in its quality as it kind of goes through. It is an ongoing series and is fairly well reviewed, so I would expect that things as they go may not be perfect, however, aren't nearly as problematic as they are in the earlier books. As for the story, Harry gets a call from a mysterious woman named Monica to find her husband. She's super vague, very conspicuous, and seems scared and nervous, and is obviously hiding something. He then gets a call from Murphy, a PD officer who he has some previous relationship and engagement with. He's been hired on as a special investigator. Harry himself doesn't trust machines, and they don't seem to like him, or at least act adversely to the energies he puts off, and seems to be a side effect to magic and wizards in general. The world itself is filled with vampires, werewolves, demons, and at this point of the story was throwing similarities to something like Supernatural. We get inklings that Harry was part of something called the White Council, or at least they have a shared interest in him. He's being followed and has been blacklisted by them for an event plaguing his past. All of this is a great setup to a series I think will definitely hold my attention. I do want to draw some issues again to its portrayal of women and how they are fairly aged in terms of what you would expect. And the previously mentioned material like Buffy, Supernatural, etc. I am hoping for the female characters to get a more time to grow in the series that aren't just side pieces to both Harry and the story. However, I do find this novel a super fun time. Harry is a great character. He's funny, charismatic, and has some great bickering back and forth in his kind of salty nature, but obviously has a heart buried deep down in there. I loved the D&D type references and some pretty great details on how the spells work and the magic systems, as well as the lore and creatures encountered in the book. It's a pretty short read, and if you're on the fence, I would highly recommend reading the first entry in the series. Stormfront feels like an awesome starting point to a series that is still going strong. Oh, by the way, through the month of May and up to June 12th, you can go to silverstonebooks.com, check out their awesome library, add a few things to your cart, and if you use the code STORYBOUND at your checkout, you can get 15% off your very first order. Also, all orders throughout the site within the US are free shipping on orders of $50 or more. Please check them out. Check them out on Twitter. They have been doing some giveaways recently, and I've recently won one of their giveaways that I'll be doing a unboxing video here in the next week or so, and hope you check it out. But yeah, check out their site, silverstonebooks.com. Please use the code STORYBOUND at checkout for 15% off your order and free shipping off orders $50 or more. Digging a bit more into spoiler territory, Harry is consistently walking on eggshells in this novel. He's worried about the council, They seem to be watching him, what magic he practices, and at least one believes he's responsible for summoning the demons involved in the book. This all ties back to Harry's past to defending himself against his old mentor. Morgan, his watcher from the White Council, highly suspects him, and we learn Harry was convicted of murder with magic and self-defense. Something we will have to learn more about as the series progresses, as we slowly start to learn more and more about Harry's backstory. I thought the soul gazing was a pretty cool concept, very typical of high-level magic users, or ninja skills, warriors, and wizards to be able to use to kind of size each other up, and in this case, the series uses gazing into each other's souls to learn something about each other. I always like these types of methods for insights in books to teach us more about characters. It feels natural, and it's kind of great for pushing story threads forwards. The explanation of magic in the series is my jam. There's a lot of D&D type stuff happening here. True names, circles of power, blood magic, the Never Never, Fae, mentions of evocation, thaumaturgy, and just the simple way spells are put together with different elements, some physical, some mental. Really enjoying the dives in here. I've got a pretty big stack of D&D books behind me, so I love it when series dive into the magic's inner workings. We learn Harry has a familiar, or a spirit-bound creature or maybe something he's just captured. Regardless, Bob is a spirit of intellect bound to a human skull. He acts as Harry's assistant and living encyclopedia of magic for all things potions, alchemy, and apparently gravity potions. Regardless, Bob is an ancient spirit, a crazy resource for magic, and a fun way to provide the reader some much needed details on how to do the thing that needs to be done to reach the third act. We get some details on vampire lore throughout the book, what works and what doesn't, how crosses don't ward vampires, the faith empowering the object does. I thought this was a cool touch on how someone who wasn't virtuous in faith, wearing a cross perhaps, wouldn't be able to ward off a vampire, but somebody with kind of a stronger faith or understanding of magic would be able to empower that same relic to ward them off with varying levels of success. It's a pretty neat concept. We also get a scene where Harry was upset and made a vampire cry, which is actually kind of hilarious. I am curious if vampires aren't really undead in this world, but more of kind of a creature. Also, people seem to get addicted to their saliva, and there's some neat stuff going on in here. I wasn't a massive fan with the fight with the scorpion. I just find scorpions lame for some reason. They did manage to make it kind of funny though, with squashing the scorpion, getting covered in bug goo, and falling down to the bottom of the elevator as well. That kind of worked. I liked the whole scene with the storm and the chase and the way that got laid out, and there was a real sense of kind of a countdown climax being brought on, trying to get things accomplished before the next storm, and I really liked the way that affected the pacing here. I do like the way Harry kind of combines his magic together. He's got kind of a shield of air, or like a pattern of force. It appears to come from his bracer, like a bracer of protection. Maybe another D&D reference, but he's also got his staff, or as he calls it, his blasting rod, and his pentacle that he wears on his neck. I like the idea of using the items as focuses to enhance spells or improve things like casting rates, effectiveness, etc. I did also notice he seems to use kind of a lot of elemental spells. I'm unsure if he's more of a wild mage or a general caster, or if wizards can kind of cast anything they like or learn kind of Harry Potter style. Side note, Victor Shadowman is an amazing name, and I really hope it was a joke on purpose. I do like the whole mantra of wizards don't use magic to kill, they use it to discover, to protect, to mend, to help. Things like that go a long way for me on these reads, but regardless, the ending comes together pretty nicely, and for what it was on its serial nature, it was a really fun read. In conclusion, and as I said before, all of this is a great setup to a series I think will hold my attention. Some things are a bit aged in their tropes and portrayal of women. However, the characters are fun, the set pieces are exciting, and I like the serial type format that's implied so far. I've already dug into Full Moon and will toss my thoughts out on that soon. Either way, please let me know what you thought of the book or where you are in the series in the comments down below. I'll continue to post my thoughts online as well as post videos over the coming weeks. Thanks again for watching Storybound, and as always, have a good one.